We are. Here we are. Welcome, everybody, to our live stream of February 16th. Dennis and Robin here with Outwitting the Manipulator. We do this every Friday at 4 o'clock. You're welcome to comment on whatever platform you're viewing it or reach out to us at Outwit in Real Time. We're very happy to be here today. And if you saw the notes about what this episode is about, we're going to talk about a false sense of urgency that feels very real. It can feel quite real, but this is something that a manipulator will use to get you to take action quickly, immediately, before you have time to think, before you have time to sort things out, before you have time to go, wait a minute, does that make any sense? So Dennis, you need to really chime in with your thoughts right now, because this is it's 4 o'clock on Friday. They're about to check out. So Dennis, I'm going to give you about 15 seconds. Why don't you chime into what you think about this?
Yeah. There she is. She's doing it to me this time. You see that?
Yeah,
that was her effort. Yeah, you see it. Yeah. That was her effort to create urgency in order for me to do something.
That's right.
Well, it's not, but that's how easy it is, and that's how common it is, and that sounded very real for a moment. Everybody's thinking, well, but that's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Creating a sense of urgency that the manipulator causes you to do, to say, to think something that maybe wasn't even part of your thinking at that particular moment. But because they created that sense of urgency, you want to jump into it, and they're very good at it.
Yes.
So today we're going to talk about how manipulators do it, and in a big sense, we like to focus on the small sense. We like to talk about your manipulator and the person that you're suffering with. And that's where we're here to help you with that.
We're going to, yes.
Broaden it out a little bit today, too.
Yes,
because we're going to talk about manipulation, how that sense of urgency is created, not just by your manipulator, but by almost everybody around.
Corporations, marketing. It's a sales tool, right, Dennis? We talked about this. It's a very powerful sales tool.
Yeah, very powerful.
Act now. Supplies are limited.
You see it every day. Oh, yeah.
There's one seat left.
Right. There's only one left. It's actually a very, very old sales technique. I mean, creating a sense of urgency. It's been around for decades and decades, creating.
Well, let's start there, Dennis.
If you take it right now, but there's only 2 left or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with the general marketing and sales sense of urgency, because it's so pervasive and it's so well done. You may not even realize that it's fake, false, or being used to manipulate you, creating fear. It's usually scarcity when it comes to marketing. They try to create a sense of scarcity and therefore urgency, or in fear to be, well, interest rates are going to go up. They're going to go up. Did you see today's news? You better sign this purchase and sale agreement right now. Otherwise, you're going to lose your rate. So there it can be that.
And if you order right now before midnight, we're going to send you, that sort of a thing. That thing,
exactly.
The last one. And remember, time's running out.
And why is that? Because they know.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. And by the way, so this is a great Instagram tool, right? They get you with these incredible seductive videos. They pull you in. It's going to answer all your dreams. This book on permaculture, this skin cream, your wrinkles are going to go away. You're going to look amazing. But then what they do is they pull you in and you get you a little further down what they call a funnel. And it is a funnel. Then this is the new thing. And Dennis, you're not as much of an online shopper, so I don't know if you've noticed this, but as you're reading or watching these little things, Mary Lou just bought this in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Bob Smith just purchased this in San Antonio, Texas. And it's like, then that sense of urgency is about the feeling of being left out. Right?
You better get in on this.
Oh my goodness. All these people are doing it. I should do it too. Yeah. It's urgent.
Wow. Yeah. And the urgency is the word, really. That's really the word that we're talking about here. It creates a sense of urgency for what? As Robin said, it might be to not be left out. It might be to get a special deal. It might be to avoid a certain fearful thing that could happen if you don't act right now. Urgency is the word, but it's urgency to do something, to feel something. And the word urgency means it's happening right away, and you have to be attuned to it right away all the time.
There is a very rare instance and way it may be real. It may
Yeah,
be authentic.
of course.
I'm just thinking back to a real estate transaction. I'm talking 20 years ago now, where the town I was selling in, there was never new construction on the market. I mean, never. It's Boston, so it was old stuff. And we had a new construction condo and a guy who just came into town. And I told him, we never get these on the market and you should really make an offer on this today. And he said, well, it's the first thing I saw and I'd rather wait. And I thought, yeah, that sounds really bad, right? What I'm saying sounds really manipulative. And I said, you know what? Let me give you the data. And I went back in public records and I went back 15 years and I downloaded to a spreadsheet every sale and the square footage in the neighborhood he was looking in. And there was only one other new construction. And I said, that's data, that's evidence. And I said, do what you want. I totally get it but I'm telling you right now that if you're going to wait and you have to have new construction, you're probably not going to see it again. Odds are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he ended up writing the offer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he pushed back. He wasn't going to be bedazzled and finagled and pushed into, he was like, I'm not going to be told that by you, a salesperson.
Yeah.
So that's when data, evidence, I get it. I understand. So is there really one seat left in that airplane? I don't know. Do any of us know?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a guy about a year ago or so came knocking on the door, front door of the house, walked to the front door, and the guy standing there, he said, look, I just thought I'd let you know that I just finished a job doing surfacing a driveway for a neighbor of yours right around the corner. I happen to have a half a truckload of this material left. If you can allow me to do this today, I can do this for you. I did his for 8,000. I could probably do yours for
oh my God, what a
3,000 maybe.
That
But
is
you have to do it now. Sense of urgency.
That's slick. That's slick.
Yeah.
And then he's pointing at the truck.
Oh yeah, it's parked right out there.
And you're like,
and it's hot. The material is hot. So while it's hot, literally hot.
Seems pretty real.
Sense of urgency. That's right. You got to act right now.
No time to research his background, his skill level, whether or not that price is a good price.
Or
no time. We got to move now.
Or if it was even a neighbor around the corner. We can't even know that.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. You could have been the sixth house he knocked on saying with the same stick.
That's right. Right. You see it in, you see it in a lot of commercials these days too. These days in television commercials, for example, that the 1% offer so runs out at the end of the month, that sort of a thing.
Yep.
Financing. Yep. It's everywhere. It's all
everywhere.
I can remember as a little kid. I can remember cereal boxes on the radio offering. If you buy this by the end of this month, we'll send you a free ring for the Ranger of so and so. But you had to do it by the end of the month because the offer ran out at the end of that time. So you go after your mom or your dad. Say, I got to do it now, Mom. I know, because at the end of the month, the urgency.
Right.
It's all the time.
Yes.
And manipulators, of course, are very good at this. Robin, you had in your past, you had a job. What was that? You told me about this once before.
Yes.
The job you had with this. Tell me about that.
Yes, I owned a real estate company for 20 years and then went through a pretty not good divorce, pretty bad divorce. And because I couldn't stomach doing real estate with my then ex-husband, I took a job for 6 weeks. I said, I'm just going to go get a job and work for anybody else. Now, mind you, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 20 years old. So I had very little experience working for somebody else, but this was very intriguing job because it said, you are on your own. You're not micromanaged by anyone. What they did is they set you up in BJ's, Sears, Kmart, and in a booth. And the booth had a microphone and it had lights. And so when I was a kid, one of my best friends and I growing up used to do infomercials all the time. We loved doing infomercials. We were like 10, 11 years old. We would grab a product and we would do an infomercial because, I was fascinated. I think I've always been fascinated by human behavior and fascinated by the way it sucked you in and made you feel like you had to have this thing, even though you didn't need the thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I got to find your fingers. Like, I got to call that 800 number right now. Right. So
When
this
you
was an
said Kmart,
infomercial.
did you mean, was this the kind of thing at Kmart in the old days? They used to do a
Blue light special.
blue light
No,
special. Yeah, blue
they
light
did
special.
they
Yeah.
did take a
Listen,
page out of that notebook. So
Kmart smart shoppers, and a blue light special, that sort of thing.
urgency, right?
And
While
that was
supplies
you? Oh
last.
my goodness.
Get over to the menswear right now. Neckties are half off. Supplies will not last. This special ends in 20 minutes. Oh, Kmart, I think, invented that stuff.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So they took a page out of that notebook. This company, the product I was selling, they had 13 products, and this product was called Mr. Sticky.
Mr. Sticky.
Mr. Sticky. It was the world's first and only lifetime guarantee lint roller.
Oh, lint roller. Oh.
Lint roller. The world's first and only lifetime guarantee lint roller.
Okay.
And the training that I got to do this was absolutely fascinating. First of all, my trainer, my manager, was half my age, tattooed and pierced. Not that that means anything, but it does in this context, because this was founded by a carnival guy. So the grandfather, you know, two more generations above the guy that trained me, founded this company hawking at state fairs and carnivals. You know, where you roll in, you hit it hard and fast, then you roll it up, you get the heck out of there. So that was their whole history. And you should have seen, Dennis. And I still have it. I'm gonna show it to you. I have the 3-ring binder.
Oh.
They had this down to a science of human behavior like you wouldn't believe. Like the way that you gathered everybody around the booth, you had to make them put their carts aside, and actually you couldn't start the show until they were leaning into the booth. They had to be touching the booth with their ribs. You had to tell them that the crowds were coming and they really needed to move in. And it was so amazing. So you learned these scripts, and it built to this crescendo.
Yeah.
And you could not do it too quickly. You had to do it at the right pace. It was really, so I had this black velvet where I dumped cat litter, cat fur, and then they all of their products, they had like 13 products. They all had in the sales process. So they had the moment, I think they called it Bally Up or something, where I made these announcements trying to get people excited. Then I had to tap them on their shoulder and let them know the show was about to start. Then I had to pull them in before I started the show. So all the products were the same. You know, you're on this elevated booth, you have a microphone, they get a free gift for showing up. So you want to get your free gift. That's what I was telling them. So then when I did the show, and it had what's called a moment of amazement. Every single product had a moment of amazement. So taking this little Mr. Sticky thing, I had to roll it and pick up the cat hair and the cat litter and the cigarette ash, this gross stuff I had to dump out and put on this thing. And then I would hold it up for all of them to look at, all this gross stuff hanging off. And then I would pull out this big clear bowl of soapy water and just slowly, I would have to direct them with my hands. Now, just watch this. No, move in. That's very important. Before I did the moment of amazement, I had to make sure they were all moving in and they were all leaning in. And then slowly dip the lint roller into the water where all the debris fell to the ground, and then pull it out again. This is why, Dennis, it's a lifetime lint roller. Just keep using it. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. There's so many things I learned, but the urgency, it was always, it built to this crescendo at the end. Who wants one? And I had to raise my hand high in the air. Who wants one? You want one? You want one? And I couldn't pass them out for sales. I had to keep going with that. Think about Mother's Day. Think about Christmas. You want one there in the back, even if nobody raised their hand in the back. I'd say, oh, okay, right there in the back. How many do you want? Hold up your fingers. Oh, she wants 3. And there was like some kind of thing like you got, I don't even remember. But
always in the back though, where no one else could see.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But I have to say, I mean, I did it for 6 weeks because I was fascinated by it. And then of course I was way overqualified to be doing that at my age. And they even told me when I said, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore, but thanks. He said, you're so good at it though. He's like, we wanted to compliment you on your sales, and we were going to let you learn the script for the magic mop next, because you really don't want to quit now. I mean, most people have to work here a lot longer before they move on to the magic mop.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Even
So
then. Wow.
I value that life experience because
Wow.
boy, oh boy, the insight. And Dennis, you and I know as communication coaches, the volume of the voice, the
Yeah.
pace of the voice, the
Yeah.
tone, the
Yeah.
word choice. You couldn't even vary off the word choice. The gestures. The
Mhm.
gestures were all choreographed,
Mhm.
completely
Mhm.
choreographed. And what was incredible, this formula worked over and over again. So much so that this little 25-year-old, my boss, if if I didn't sell, you did this every 20 minutes. So it was 20 minutes of a show, and then 15 minutes of cleanup, and then 20 minutes of show. So what you had to do is you write down how many that you sold, right? Did you sell them, or did they put them down before the register? Then I had to go through the store and find them all.
Oh
So
boy.
here's what they knew, which was fascinating to me. He would say to me, how many pop-ups did you have? In other words, how many people raised their hand?
Mm.
How many did you hand out? How many made it to the register? And then he would know from that, and how many were at the booth? How many did you actually get to come over to the booth? How many
Mhm.
left during? So at what point did they leave? What were you saying when you saw those people peel off? So
Mhm.
they knew exactly over the phone how to tell me what I needed to tweak.
Mm, 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 mm. Wow, had
It
it
and this
down to a science.
down to a
Wow.
science.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. As you were talking about it, I'm thinking, yeah, but I mean, I see that stuff. I get it. No, I'm all of a sudden recalling how I was a target of, maybe a victim of that. And this was long, long ago. And I was just beginning to study communication and so forth. And I had just gotten married. And about a year later, my wife and I got pregnant. And we were in a Sears store at the time. We were
Oh,
walking.
Kirby vacuum.
No, no, not a vacuum, no. She was, like 8 months pregnant. It was pretty big. So we're walking down the aisle, and all of a sudden, I hear from the side, "Oh, that's gonna be a handsome baby." Now, of course, we didn't know. We're like, I don't know, 20, 21 years old. Turn around. "What?" "Yeah." "Oh, I can tell that's gonna be a handsome baby." Well, that caught our attention, okay? But the urgency didn't come, and it came different than what you were saying, differently. He said, "Yeah, I can tell." He wound up talking about how beautiful the baby was, and that, you know what?
Love bombing.
That child, you want that child to be as smart as you are, I'm sure, and you're a handsome couple, and I can tell. And he gave all these compliments, and we were sort of sucked in by this sort of thing. And then he said, one of the things that's interesting to talk about science, one of the things that's interesting about child learning is that the age that your baby is going to be a year from now, that's an age when the brain is just beginning to formulate the learning process that it's going to have the rest of its life. And I thought,
No
really?
pressure there.
You better be prepared. You know what he sold us? Encyclopedia.
Encyclopedias. No one.
Encyclopedia.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
your child's going to need it in a year, and certainly 2 years from now. By that time, the price
Oh
is all going to be
wow.
up. So now's the time, and you can get it for this price, and we can put it in an installment plan. Took me right in.
I would
And,
love to have heard
and
his pitch to a senior citizen
I,
on why they need
I can
encyclopedia.
almost remember. I can almost remember it. But it
Yeah.
helped me. Those were the days when I started thinking, you know what, human communication. Because the books arrived about, I don't know, a month later, and along with it came a $300 bill, and I'm thinking, what? How did I get sucked into this? That's when I began to realize how powerful human communication was, and got into it
Yes.
in earnest.
Yes.
It's everywhere, folks.
There's certain times where they'll say, and I'm trying to remember what the product was, but this is another technique where they'll say, well, why don't you give me your credit card and let me hang on to that? We're not going to write anything up. Don't worry. And they give you a reason why they need to hang on to your credit card, but they kind of hold it hostage.
Mm.
But I also got suckered in, Dennis. And, I like to think of myself as not that person,
No.
obviously, writing the book and doing all this. But I was in my early 40s, and my girls were with me in the mall. And one of these little booths was doing um, Dead Sea skin products. I don't know, cleansers and moisturizers. And I got sucked in because this woman, not only was she charismatic, but the technique she used that totally hypnotized me was she kept touching me. So
Oh.
she would rub it on my hand very nicely, or rub it on my, and I was a late 40, two teenage girls, abused, beat up woman. So to have somebody giving me attention and kindness
Mm.
completely sucked me in. And I ended
Mhm.
up buying the product, and it was, overpriced. And my daughter said, I can't believe you just fell for that. Of course, teenage girls always judging me. But unfortunately, they're not teenagers anymore. But I thought the same thing. I thought, why in the world? I couldn't get away from her. She kept putting her hand on my shoulder. She kept putting, well, let me try this. Well, let me try that. She buffed my fingernails with this stupid buffer you can get at the dollar store.
Yeah.
And yeah, I fell for it. So
Yeah.
don't feel bad if you've fallen for these things. It's very, these, most of the people who, well, manipulators, but there's salespeople who are manipulative and they're trained. And now it's gotten to the point where human behavior and communication is so studied and dissected
Yeah.
that it almost just takes your free will away from you. You don't even see it coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've made the difference for those of you who've been around with us for a while and have had the book. We've made the difference between manipulation and persuasion. Those two things are very different. We are talking today about manipulation in the sense of urgency and panic and fear and all of that stuff that we mentioned. This is manipulation, and you feel like you can't get away. You feel like you don't want to you better not get away. You better stay here. And this is what manipulators do. They create that in you. Sense of persuasion, listen, I could have walked away in Sears. I could have walked away.
You would have felt like a terrible parent because he's
No.
already made it clear you're going to have a beautiful child.
Yeah,
And
he
if you
created
care at
that.
all about that child's brain
Yep,
development,
yep,
then this is a priority.
yeah,
So he's already set you up to fail.
yep, yep. And money was not an object to me because it was my child's health and all of that.
Of course not. You can't
See,
put a price on that, Dennis.
manipulators are so clever at this kind of thing. Now, we're not going to go into the difference between manipulation and persuasion today. We've done that before, perhaps at another point. But today, what can you do?
Well, I
What?
want to talk about the personal level.
Yeah,
I
let's
agree
do
with
that.
you, Dennis, because the personal level is also being done all the time.
Yeah.
And we it makes me laugh because my mother had 3 children before she was 21,
Mm.
and we figured out early on to ask her for things when she was on the phone on a good call, laughing and chatting. So we would say,
Oh,
"Can I have a cookie? Can I have a cookie? Can I have a cookie? Can I have a cookie right now? Can I have a cookie? Can I have a cookie?" And she would just, yes, So we waited till she was on the phone to do that. Now, a
oh,
manipulator will wait
yep,
for you. So
yep,
they'll have something they want you to do, they need you to commit to, agree to.
yeah,
They will wait until you're
yeah.
distracted, you're down and out, you just
Mhm,
had your wisdom teeth pulled and you're strung out
mhm,
on
mhm,
dental drugs. They'll wait till you're on your way out the door and they'll go, "Oh, wait, before you leave, I have to have an answer on this right now." And
mhm,
they'll push you
mhm,
and tell
mhm.
you have to do it now.
We've talked before about that, and we described this in our previous talking and so forth as the use of context. They have a manipulative intent, which might be based on urgency, uses the urgency, but they wait for the proper context, like Robert said, when you're walking out the door, or when your mom was on the phone. That's the context. And then they use that to manipulate you to get something that they want or that they don't want from you to do. So context, see, these things are always conflated, folks. It's not that they
Yes.
do one thing at a time. They'll do
No.
this urgency and then conflate it with something else, maybe with love bombing,
Like
a
you
lot of
just said
things.
with your encyclopedias.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that, it's really important for us to share with you is the need for you to be paying attention. We use the word
Yes.
awareness. You've got to be aware of this, the potential of this happening all the time, particularly at times, we said this before, when you might be vulnerable, like when you're walking out the door
And
or you're on the
notice,
phone and you're
yeah,
not
you're
thinking
walking
about it.
out the door, you're late somewhere. Did this person have the ability to bring this up sooner? Like, reflect on it, think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Maybe but also hit the pause button and say, if you need an answer right now, the answer is no.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with that Instagram stuff where they're like, you got to do it now, you got to do it now. My new policy for myself is, if it's really intriguing and really compelling, I write down the name of it to Google it the next day. If I still feel that way 24 hours from now,
Yeah.
it'll still be there,
Yeah.
because sorry, all of that is a lot of what do you call Hezerai? It's a lot of
Hazarai. Yeah.
Hezerai. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and look over here, and
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
too much. Don't think too much, and
Yeah.
don't wait.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. It works at trade shows too.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
At
sure.
trade shows, they you'll find yourself going to booths where a whole bunch of people are already at the booth, and the person
Mhm.
who's alone in the booth, you just go right by. This
Mhm.
this has to do with, I'm kind of going over from
Um,
urgency to crowd,
and
like following the crowd. Oh,
this is
he's
what
the man.
that's what Mr. Sticky was creating, was based on bring that crowd in
Absolutely,
first.
absolutely.
Okay.
But that creates a sense of urgency too, because, oh my gosh, your neighbor's got it, Dennis. Your neighbor's got green
Yeah.
grass. Why don't you? Your grass is brown.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at you. In fact, you got the only brown grass in the whole neighborhood, Dennis.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? This time next week, you can have green grass.
Yeah. So let's bring this to you now, folks. You are visiting with us because you feel you are in, or you're wanting to avoid or get out of, a manipulative relationship that you're in. And as we've said before, we've identified 24 in specific that we talk about, but there are probably 224. There's a lot of them, and you need to be able to how to react to those and protect yourself as it is happening, not afterwards when the bill comes and encyclopedia books are all there for $300. Not that's too late. How do you protect yourself in real time? One of the first things that we're suggesting to you always is be aware, be alert. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be like suspicious of everybody. No, we're talking about folks with whom you are in a manipulative relationship, or with whom you feel uncomfortable, or because of whom you feel, I don't know, that doesn't seem, when you get those feelings, that's the awareness that we're urging you to have. It's not you. You be aware of it. You don't necessarily have to jump, or whatever it is they're asking you to do, or they're seeming to create urgency about, doesn't mean you have to do it when you're in those kind of manipulative relationships. So what do you do? The first thing is to be aware. And then Robin gave you a couple of other good examples. Say, stand by, I'll get back to you.
Actually, yeah, Dennis, I want to piggyback on what you're saying with a specific takeaway now that we only have 2 minutes left here.
Yeah.
That a great way to practice you
Mhm.
advocating for yourself. It's very hard in personal relationships because it's personal and they get
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah.
But the woman in the mall selling the face cream and the encyclopedia salesman, practice with those people, because they don't care. And you think they care, and maybe they've tried to hook you emotionally, but say to them, I'll take it into consideration, but I won't be doing that today. So practice your succinct statement of
Mhm.
saying no. So you don't
Yeah.
have to say the word no if that's not comfortable for you,
Yeah.
but thank you for telling me about this. I appreciate it. I will let you know. And then you need to walk away. Your
Yes.
body starts to turn away. Your
Yeah.
face starts to turn away. You
Yes.
cannot lean in. If they grab your hand or put their arm around your shoulder, you
Mm,
need to pull away,
then definitely get away.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it just they're going to make it a lot harder and more uncomfortable for you, but this will exercise that muscle. That's a great thing for you to practice. And when you do, please go to our Facebook page or
Mm.
drop us an email on our website. There's a contact Outwit in real time. You can send us comments. I would love to know, wouldn't you, Dennis? Like, if you tried it, how it
Yeah.
felt.
Let it
Did it
go.
work?
Yeah. What works? And if it doesn't work, how can we help you in another way? I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, there's not just one thing you can do. There are several things that we can help you with. That's why we're here. So please allow us to help you not be manipulated. And if you're feeling uncomfortable in any way, be aware. Remember, write it down. There's a pattern. Manipulators have a
Question
pattern.
it.
Write it down. Keep the journal. Let us know what's happening with you. We'll be delighted to help you with that. That's why we're here. Any final message, Robin?
Nope, just go to our website, Outwit in Real Time. You can find out about the coaching and the training and how you can contact us and all the social media where we're connected. But thank you for listening.
Yes, be with us again next Friday. We're here Friday every 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday. Please join us. We'll help you with that manipulation. And until that time, thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Dennis Becker. She is Robin Galinsky. Bye for now.